Russia before World War I, symbol of pomp and majesty. Under Tsar Nicholas II, shown here reviewing troops, including the Cossacks, Russia's imperialism was foundering. Since 1905, when public clamor resulted in a show at representative government with the establishment of the Duma governing body, there was unrest. Here the Tsar and Tsarina celebrate the 300th anniversary of the Romanovs in power. Then came the immediate prelude to World War I, and patriotism temporarily stilled the growing public demand for revolution. Ferdinand, heir to Serbia's throne, was slain, and Europe girded itself for war, even as Ferdinand's funeral was being held. Nicholas announced to Germany she was ready to fight, made a pact to send an army and arms to France, and prepared to personally lead his armies. Grand Duke Nicholas was still in control of the military at this point when Russian fighting men landed in France. But the Tsar was preparing to take over, leaving control of diplomatic affairs to the Tsaritsa. Soon, reports of Russian losses drifted back home. Countless prisoners fell to the German army, and Russian ministers resigned in a steady stream as the Tsaritsa, influenced by Rasputin, history's mad monk, watched the government totter and revolution seethe. In 1905, the people arose against the Tsar, but were beaten back. This time, they were resolved to victory. Retreating artillery passed sidewalk speakers, exciting the public to action. And then in Petrograd, March 8, 1917, a riot. Troops recalled hastily to the area refused to shoot. The Cossacks, summoned as a last resort to put down the insurrection, moved in, but they too refused to raise arms against the revolutionists. At the Tatarchesky Palace, where the Duma was in session, plans were made to force Nicholas to abdicate. Troops mutinied, defied their leaders, and joined the revolt. It was Prince Georgy Evgenyevich Lvov in center, noble-born liberal who became prime minister of the provisional government that followed success of the revolution. As victims of the uprising are buried in a common grave, there is calm in Russia. But the Lvov government dissatisfied the masses, and the years to come saw Alexander Feodorovich Kerensky emerging as head of the provisional government, only to be overthrown. Lenin and Trotsky were to follow. Bolshevism was to replace the provisional government. Tsar Nicholas was to be assassinated. The Romanov dynasty was dead.
It's 1912, and near Saugatuck, Connecticut, New York, New Haven, and Hartford right-of-way is strewn with wreckage of wooden railway cars, crumpled and crushed in pile-up behind derailed locomotive. Alongside sheared-off telephone pole, survivors and rescuers search cars for casualties. Completion of grim job finds 50 persons injured, 7 dead. With stunned spectators in the background, workmen begin task of clearing right-of-way for coming traffic. Fact that these films are old is evident in clothing worn by these women spectators. Cause of rail accident is unknown, but result is these historic scenes of death and disaster.
It's 1912, and Jersey's Woodrow Wilson is just a candidate, as out in Omaha, Nebraska, they hold the annual Ak-Sar-Ben Festival, which is Nebraska spelled backwards. With World War I not even a dream for the future, ladies in latest fashion and most modern of streamlined cars parade through streets of Omaha at height of floral fate. Launched in 1895, Ak-Sar-Ben Festival is biggest thing in Nebraska, a regular state fair each October of the year. A few years after this, folks discarded flowers in favor of electric lights. In 1928, parade was discarded too. But here, in a look at yesterday, is the fun-filled Ak-Sar-Ben Festival way back in 1912.
In halcyon days before World War I, here are Emperor and Empress of Germany, rulers of prosperous and far-flung empire. With Army Chief von Moltke, here's stern Kaiser Wilhelm II himself, reviewing officers of war machine that would make any Prussian proud. Ascending throne after 99-day reign of feeble Emperor Frederick, Wilhelm II began rule of Germany June 15, 1888, date later to be considered dark days in world history. For from beginning, the new Kaiser ruled with iron hand and unbending will. When in power but 3 months, he relieved Bismarck of his duties and assumed full control of Germany and German policies himself. Famed goose-step of Kaiser's legions even here was being high-geared for one Prussian's plans for prancing straight to war. But Wilhelm was more than mastermind of mighty war machine. As Emperor of Germany, he was highest-ranking member of House of Hohenzollern. Here, outside one of many royal residences, he appears as gracious host, bidding farewell to his guests. Partly crippled since birth, for years forced into minor roles by his predecessors, at one time even scorned for his militant views, Kaiser Wilhelm, King of Prussia, Emperor of Germany, came at last into his own, and for 26 years lived in glory and grandeur such as this, proud of his ancestry, sure of his future, master of his own fate and Germany's. Then, under Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg, the Kaiser's crew goes to war. The Netherlands falls, and Belgium, and hordes of Huns stiff-arm their way deep into northern France, till forces of French and British and doughboys from America halt them, bog them down, and then, with merciless gunfire, beat them down to destruction and defeat. In France, 1918, troops that knocked Kaiser Wilhelm's dreams of world conquest into a cocked helmet parade before President and Mrs. Woodrow Wilson as armies everywhere marched back to peace. And Kaiser Wilhelm marches too. With cane in place of battle sword or scepter of a king, he walks through woods of his Holland home, emperor no more, but just mere man, in exile. His dreams are not exiled, though. The Crown Prince remains in Germany as the fatherland seeks air power in hopes of victory in another war. For to all Prussians, war is living, victory is life. Defeat is but pause between wars, to gird again for battle. By 1930, with Franz von Papen and General von Mackensen at his side, the Crown Prince rises as Germany's new hope, only to fall before Adolf Hitler and his Nazis. And no survivor will ever forget what happened after that. It's 1919, as at Framingham, Massachusetts, German weapons of First World War make appearance in America. But they're not loaded, and they'll never be fired again. For they're cannon and field pieces captured from the Kaiser's defeated armies by victorious American troops. From here, they'll be sent to all parts of nation to decorate lawns in front of state houses and federal buildings. All that remains of an army once so mighty it threatened the freedom of the world, they'll now be reminders that in 1918 anyway, right was might. And they'll make pretty good chicken coops, too.
America's outstanding doughboy, the redoubtable Sergeant York. The sergeant, born and raised here in Pall Mall, Tennessee, came from a typical backwoods family. His mother is proud of his accomplishments. And Brother Robert gets a German helmet as a souvenir. The sergeant's aunts, Nancy, Sarah, and Ann, pure early American. A second elder in this church, Sergeant York was a conscientious objector during the early stages of World War I, but when he got into action, he killed 25 Germans single-handed and captured 132, including a major and 3 lieutenants, and is credited with putting 35 enemy machine guns out of action. Nothing backwoods about this backwoods boy, America's #1 World War I hero. This is Sergeant York.
Painful permanent. It's 1919, and no, the lady isn't going to be scalped. She's a 1919 beauty parlor to get a permanent wave. We promise you that isn't an instrument of death or torture. It's the harmless curling machine of the time. Any surprised look she may be wearing is purely beauty's price.